So I have 4 o'clock, so I will go ahead and call to order the City of Fort Atkinson Plan Commission meeting in person and via Zoom. Tuesday, May 23rd, 2023, 4 p.m. City Hall and via Zoom, as I mentioned. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Gray,
Here.
Commissioner Highfield,
Here.
Council Representative Schultz,
Here.
Manager Houseman,
Here.
Engineer Selly.
Here.
Okay. First on the, number 3 is review and possible action relating to the minutes of the April 25th, 2023 regular Plan Commission meeting.
I move to approve the minutes from the April 25th, 2023 Plan Commission meeting as submitted.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, that motion carries. Number 4 is review and possible action relating to the minutes of the May 9, 2023 joint City Council and Plan Commission meeting.
I move to approve the minutes from the May 9th, 2023 joint City Council and Plan Commission meeting as submitted.
Second.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. Any discussion, questions, comments by the Plan Commission? Okay, hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any
Aye.
opposed? Okay, that motion carries. Item number 5 is a public hearing relating to the proposed zoning map amendment to change the zoning for the property located at 211 Milwaukee Avenue East and 210 South Water Street East, parcel numbers 226-0514-0323-026 and 226-0514-0323-027 from downtown historic mixed use DMHU to neighborhood mixed use NMU to accommodate future redevelopment. This is zoning map amendment 2023-02. So I will go ahead and open the public hearing. I have Melanie Becker. Would you like to come to the podium? Make sure the green light is on. And if there's no light at all, can you turn the back of the microphone on?
Nope, it's on.
Okay, great.
So really the only thing that I wanted to point out is that on the agenda, it's actually listed in error. It says that it's being rezoned from downtown historic mixed use, which is not correct. It's actually downtown peripheral mixed use right now.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's going to make any difference or not, but I thought I'd bring it to the attention of everybody. So,
Yeah, thanks for that catch.
Yep.
It won't make a difference, but we'll note that in the motions.
okay. That was my only comment.
Oh, okay.
Unless you have questions for me.
Okay. Anyone else wishing to speak during the public hearing? Second call for anyone wishing to speak during this public hearing. Third and final call for anyone wishing to speak at the public hearing. Okay, I will close the public hearing and move on to item number 6, which is review and possible recommendation to the City Council relating to the zoning map amendment to change the zoning of these properties to 11 Milwaukee Avenue East and to 10 South Water Street East from downtown peripheral mixed use to neighborhood mixed use.
Yeah, thank you. The request was brought forward by the current property owner, Ms. Becker, who's here in the audience. The location for all of us locals is next to the Beauty and the Bean coffee shop. That location has been vacant, I think for some time. I'm not sure there's ever been any structure on there in the recent past. The request is predicated on the fact that the current zoning, the DPMU zoning, limits some of the residential options that are available for that site. And this is kind of a transition area along the outskirts of our downtown historic mixed use area within our comprehensive plan. Rezoning to the neighborhood mixed use would allow more residential options in addition to also allowing those commercial options that were included in the DPMU. So these processes are spelled out in our zoning code. Public notice is required, as is a public hearing, which we've just had. There are 4 criteria listed in the zoning code for Planning Commission to evaluate the request against. All 4 of those have been met. And the last is an evaluation of whether the request is in concert with the comprehensive plan, which it certainly is. This is still within our historic downtown planning area. And this change in zoning does not create any anomalies associated with that. I will point out that the parcel, it is 2 parcels, although it looks on a map like one. There's a parcel abutting Milwaukee Avenue on the south side, and then a parcel, smaller parcel abutting South Water Street East. You'll note in our recommendations that combining those parcels is key to being able to make that a buildable lot. The adjoining parcels are zoned neighborhood mixed use and shown in pink here. The parcel that we're looking at here is the DPMU. So whenever we consider these zoning requests, we want to make sure we don't create a spot zone or sort of an island of zoning, which we certainly are not in this particular situation. So city staff recommends the planning commission approve the rezoning request. Of course, this moves on to the city council under 3 readings because it is an ordinance. And so we will we'll move it through there, and there'll be an opportunity for public input at that time as well. There were a few conditions associated with that. The first is just simply, as I mentioned, combining the 2 lots by CSM, which would be approved by the planning commission and the city council, and then site plan review that would be required, approval by the planning commission for any buildings that are larger than a duplex or single family residential on that lot. So with that, I'd be happy to take any questions that the planning commission might have.
I have a question for Ms. Becker, if you don't mind. Do you have any sort of specific intention for these parcels once they're rezoned, or just the marketability of multiple uses would be more beneficial?
Possibly either or. I
Okay.
do have a single family home plan that I've been working on that is a potential development plan. I'm also potentially looking at selling it. It's gone back and forth. I've owned the parcel for 5 years now, maintained it, and would like to do something, but obviously the cost to build has gone up so dramatically that that's why I did put it on the market for a year. But all interest that I had was either for single family or for multifamily. Nobody wanted to do anything commercial there, unfortunately. So that's why we're looking at the potential rezone. So something will be done there, whether it's single family home or maybe a 2-flat or something of that nature. But
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, I will just note that this neighborhood mixed use zoning district allows the property owner for additional flexibility in how the parcel is developed. And obviously the city wants to see additional structures, additional potential housing units, or whatever else could be there to increase the tax base. So we are supportive of development in this area. Any questions or comments from the Plan Commission on this matter?
I have a question. With one of the staff recommendations being combining the 2 lots, does that have to happen first, or when would that happen?
The zoning can apply to both lots in this situation. In fact, the request is for each lot individually. As noted, I believe we noted that in the packet with the parcel numbers. So the north lot and the south lot are captured in the rezoning request. The problem with the combining of the lots would make this a legal buildable lot. Currently, the lot with its square footages does not, well, a duplex lot requires a minimum of 10,000 square feet. And I think both lots together are somewhere in the neighborhood of 7,500 or 8,000 square feet. So both of those lots need to be combined in order to get up to the minimum square footage totals for various residential applications.
Any additional questions or comments from the Plan Commission?
I move to recommend the city council approve a zoning map amendment to change the zoning of the properties located at 211 Milwaukee Avenue East and 210 South Water Street East from whatever they are now to NMU to better accommodate future development.
I will just note that they are in the downtown peripheral mixed use district DPMU.
Okay.
And if it's friendly, I would ask that that is amended to include the conditions recommended
Oh,
by
and
staff.
I'll amend the motion to include the conditions set by the engineering department.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Any further questions or comments from the Plan Commission? Okay, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, that motion carries. The the city council will review this and perform a first reading at their next meeting on June 6th. Item number 7 is review and possible action relating to a site plan review for the DB Oaks property located at 700 Oak Street. This is site plan review 2023-01. Engineer Selly.
Yeah, thank you. This has come before us previously at our December 13th meeting in 2022. We approved the building plans for this site. As you may recall, the DB Oaks building, a portion of it had a fire and the interest was in rebuilding and getting the order in for the building materials yet in 2022. So Planning Commission moved ahead with the approval of that building. I shouldn't say we, the builder was able to order the materials and now they've returned with a plan for the remainder of the site. This is an aerial view of the site. You might recall from the December meeting that we do have some wetlands on the site. The applicant did work with DNR on gaining an exemption for putting in an access drive along Kramer Street that you'll see in a subsequent plan view here in a minute. But the DNR has approved that impact to wetlands roughly in this narrow area here on the site. The major elements of this that we were reviewing, I'll pull it up here. We really worked very hard with the applicant, who was very willing to kind of clean up the site a little bit. This is a very old industrial facility within the city of Fort Atkinson. And so the refreshing new building here gave an opportunity to, I think, change a lot of the site's characteristics. The applicant, Mr. Knox, was very much amenable to removing a lot of the old pavements that are visible from North Main Street. This area that you're seeing here is an example of the vast area of pavement removal that's going to happen with this project. Much of that area is going to be returned back to green space. The plan itself includes the addition of a new access off of Kramer Street, parking areas along the east and west sides of the building. There is a gate access off of Oak Street, but traffic off of Oak Street is not allowed. That gate will be closed permanently and a key provided only to emergency vehicles for access to this site. The landscaping plan worked very hard to preserve a lot of the existing trees within the area. The stormwater plan also worked very diligently with DNR, not only to make sure that stormwater quality was being improved before it went off the site. That was accomplished quite a bit through the pavement removal, but also to allow the preservation of some of these mature trees in an area that could have been potentially a stormwater basin. So the decisions were made, I think, to preserve the trees instead of knocking them down to create a basin for some stormwater in that area. So a lot of good give and take on this project. I think we may see more of that moving along into the future. There were a few things within the review by city staff that we would like to condition in this approval. I suspect I know that all of them are minor. The first is I would request that the Planning Commission allow for the maximum number of on-site parking stalls to be exceeded for the addition area that's here. And if you noted in the memo, that's simply because the proposed new parking area will serve both buildings. So we're looking at a larger building here attached to the new one. The second is to require curbing to be added to the proposed west side parking area that would match the proposed curbing along the eastern parking area. This is around in this area here, and on the back side here, that's required by our zoning code. The last request or condition is to confirm that we don't have any exterior dumpsters on the site. If we do, or if the applicant does intend to have exterior dumpsters, we would need a dumpster enclosure plan for that. So we'll follow up with the applicant and figure out which direction we want to go there. So again, fairly minor. And I think all of them can be easily remedied with a little more work and review from city staff. I'd be happy to take any questions that the Planning Commission might have related to this request.
Does DB Oaks presently own the land all the way to Kramer Street?
Yes, they do.
And will there still be access from Main Street into that property where that parking lot now is that leads down to the building?
There will not. So all of the pavements that you see, Main Street runs roughly along the bottom of this plan view.
Right.
This area will, the pavement in this area will all be removed and returned to grass.
Beautiful.
really some pretty significant aesthetic improvements in that area, I think.
Yeah, I think the neighborhood will definitely benefit from the removal of that pavement and the lack of truck traffic and
Agree.
traffic that is accessing that site. Additional questions or comments from the Plan Commission?
I'll go ahead. I'll move to approve the site plan for the DB Oaks project located at 700 Oak Street, subject to the conditions outlined in the staff report.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any final questions or comments from the Plan Commission on this matter? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, that motion carries. Moving on to item number 8 is review and possible action relating to a site plan review for Fort Healthcare North parking lot for the property located at 611 Sherman Avenue. This is site plan review 2023-10. Engineer Selly.
Thank you. So this area of the city has received a lot of attention from Planning Commission and City Council in the last few months. If you recall, we began this effort by rezoning the 4 parcels that exist to the north of 4th Street, such that they could be, I forget what we rezoned them to. It was, we changed from residential to institutional, I believe, yeah. So that we could continue the northward progression of the parking lot. We also entertained a request from Fort Healthcare to vacate North 4th Street that was approved by the City Council. Again, continuing along with the keeping with the comprehensive plan of their expansion of those healthcare facilities and institutional facilities to the north. Now what we see is that that actual plan for the parking lot here on the north side coming before the Planning Commission. We do know that Fort Healthcare has reached out to all the neighbors within the area, and I think continues to have those conversations with them. We had a few things that had popped up on city staff's radar that had come through from a few concerned citizens in the area, and I just wanted to point those out here in terms of how they were addressed. The first was really this barrier between what are going to be existing homes. There are 2 homes to the north yet that are owned by residents here, one of which is in the audience today. So they were very much concerned about the aesthetics, the noise, the light pollution and things of that nature. Fort Healthcare has worked with them and has been able to or has provided a project that has lighting on the parking lot that will not be going off the parcel boundaries. They're shielded fixtures that should take care of that off-premise lighting issue that was mentioned. The other was a stormwater concern for flooding in the area. You'll note that there is a proposed stormwater basin on the north side of this that will take the water from the parking lot, collect it, and then put it into the city's stormwater pipes that move out to the east within this particular part of the world. And last was a real barrier of sorts. We look at that as opacity, trying to use either fencing or vegetation or a combination of both to create separation between the residents that exist to the north and the more commercial or parking lot aspect that's here to the south. Fort Healthcare has put forward a fencing plan for that area, and I will show that here briefly. The fence itself will be a privacy fence, or what we would consider a privacy fence. It will be solid. The color is a darker color than this. It is a dark walnut, I believe, much more similar to maybe this example here. That will still come before our zoning administrator to evaluate to ensure that that meets our code. We don't get these sorts of fences in these areas very often. So
What's the intended height of that fence?
I believe it was 6 feet, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. So we'll look at that and make sure that all of that conforms to our zoning code, but that will provide the separation. The landscaping elements to this have been resubmitted. I will note, though, that the plan that we had seen previously really was pretty heavy with landscaping on the north side. And the plan that has been resubmitted as of actually late in the day on Friday, showing the fence in that area is also very heavy on vegetation up on the north side and along the margins. So city staff will reevaluate the landscaping plan that was provided given the fence and make sure that that conforms to the zoning code requirements. The last element of this I want to point out is one that was a request of city staff, and that was to create an east-west corridor for pedestrians through the property. So currently, the next place that you can cross through on this is actually up almost all the way at High Street. You'd have to take McMillan all the way up to the north or go to the south to Sherman Avenue. So we requested that Fort Healthcare place a pedestrian walkway. It will be a private pedestrian walkway along the north side that would allow those neighborhood residents to be able to continue to navigate this area in an east or west direction. And they were gracious enough to add that in. We do have, I will note on this, this west side, or I'm sorry, the east side of the parking lot. This is the area where we're actually going to vacate North 4th Street. Fort Healthcare will be submitting a plat of vacation for that. We are looking at the potential to maybe realign McMillan a little bit through this area to make it easier, not only for vehicles to navigate, but importantly, our plow trucks. So we may see some slight changes in there. Again, that will come before the Planning Commission when we look at that. So this area over here is in a little bit of flux with respect to where that public sidewalk running along here is going to be. And we'll see that again in that plat of vacation that will come before the Planning Commission. So a few, staff does recommend approval of the site plan. We do have a few conditions, many of which I think I've already touched on here, but I will note we did not have the presence of bicycle parking stalls as required by the zoning code on this side of the building. Those were added, I believe, to the south side, the south parking lot that we reviewed a few weeks ago. We do require that Fort Healthcare submit to city staff the privacy fence color, layout, and dimensions to ensure that those meet the requirements of the zoning code. We do require the applicant to provide an updated landscaping plan, which they actually already have as of Friday. City staff will review that and make sure that it conforms to the zoning code. Then we require an update to the stormwater modeling. The stormwater modeling that was submitted did not have, so the basin has been reduced slightly in order to accommodate that sidewalk path. So that stormwater modeling will need to be redone. It was already submitted without the sidewalk in there taking up some more of that space. So we request that be resubmitted to city staff for review. And then finally, as I mentioned, that plat of vacation that will combine all of these lots. It will turn over, so to speak, the public right-of-way of North 4th Street and better define that right-of-way boundary on the east side of the property. That will come before Planning Commission for their approval as well. So a few conditions. None of these are significant enough to delay what is a pretty tight schedule, I think, for Fort Healthcare in terms of trying to move the houses out of this area and begin construction on these the infrastructure that you see here. I'd be happy to take any questions related to this request.
The proposed pedestrian walkway, will that be to the south or the north of the fence?
That will be to the south. So the fence will be on or very near the property line. So those residents that are to the north will see only the fence.
Okay.
That was going to be my question, was the location of the fence. So, thank you. Additional questions, comments from the Plan Commission?
I move to approve the site plan for the Fort Healthcare North parking lot located at 611 Sherman Avenue, subject to conditions outlined in the staff report.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further questions or comments from the Plan Commission? Andy, was there anything that we discussed that we discussed today outside of this recommendation that needed to be incorporated into it? Or was
No,
everything
I
covered?
think we have everything in here. We always have that last bullet, any recommendations that may be provided by the plan commission in this discussion, and I don't think we heard any, so.
Okay, any final questions or comments from the plan commission on this matter? Okay, hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, item number 9 is review and possible action relating to a site plan review signage for LSM Fort Atkinson LLC located at 1000 Madison Avenue. Site plan review 2023-12, Engineer Selly.
Yeah, thank you. This, as we were talking before the meeting, was previously a chiropractic clinic, and during COVID, it was used for COVID testing. This property has now been acquired by another local chiropractor, and they're looking at changing the signage. The sign plan itself is, let me get to it here, sorry, is here. So very similar in terms of its size to what is out there currently, indicating LSM Chiropractic. The sign itself was evaluated against the zoning code and did meet all the requirements of the zoning code. It will be in the existing location at the corner there of Madison Avenue. City staff had no concerns with this and would recommend approval of this sign application.
I move to approve the site plan signage for LSM Fort Atkinson LLC located at 1000 Madison Avenue, subject to the conditions outlined in the staff report.
Second.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further questions? I guess I just have one. So we are looking at 2 signs. It's kind of a sign face replacement for the pylon sign and then a wall sign. Is that correct?
Oh, I think you're correct. I think this is the, this is night view, new faces.
And then I think if you keep scrolling, then there's a wall sign. Just want to make sure we're just one wall sign, correct? And one.
Yes, here's the wall sign here.
Are there 2 wall signs?
I believe just one. It's indicating a day view and a night view. And that's on the building itself, which is shown down here in the lower. Let me blow that up. So it would be on premise there.
Okay. Any final questions or comments from the plan commission on this matter?
I move to approve the site plan signage for LSM Fort Atkinson LLC located at 1000 Madison Avenue, subject to the conditions outlined in the staff report.
Second.
Didn't we already have a motion?
Yeah, we
Oh.
already had a motion. and a second.
Oh, I apologize. I'm
No,
sorry.
that's all right. I didn't.
Yeah,
I
now that
didn't-
we're reviewing the building signage, I apologize.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second on the floor. Any final thoughts or discussion from the plan commission? Okay, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that motion carries. Item number 10 is adjournment.
Motion to adjourn.
I will second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? Okay, we are adjourned at 4:29 PM. Thank you, everybody.